Well, hello. Welcome to the 103rd episode of DANK without Tank. So Tank has not shown up yet. I've tried to reach him. I've been just waiting, and I figured I would just come on and let people know. So we can continue. I've been monitoring the chat. There's not any questions asked yet, but we can talk about what I was talking about on Frontlines. It was more about Trump. There was a thread on Twitter. Someone was laying out the kind of like the connection between Trump's family and Tesla, and how this is really a multi-generational plan. With with the Patriots, the white hats, where the hats are not quite white, they're more of a beige. I think one of the comments was, if you're playing with the cabal, you're going to be a little off color. You're not going to be completely white, right? So, but it looks like Trump, if you can think about this, exceptionally clean in his business dealings, right? Always doing things by the law. And so, all these years of investigation, they could find nothing on him. They're trying to get into his taxes. Oh, we could find something in the taxes. All just something to drum up issues. But the connection with the Tesla technology and really pointing out that Tesla knew that his inventions could be used as weapons and weaponized. And he actually had come up with a solution to fix the problem. And now Trump's uncle, obviously, who was in charge of this information collected by the feds when Tesla died, and they had a very big connection with the John Birch Society, which is a constitutionalist society. It's about following the Constitution, and these are a bunch of patriots, freedom worshipers that will want to have remove the cabal. And this plot is very well laid out. And if Trump was destined to be put in that position, it looks like it's been from the very long time. So I was in between when I got off the front lines. I watched, strolling through YouTube and saw something, and it was really Linda Moulton Howe was in this documentary about the Anunnaki and the UFO community, and she was really stating how she was tracking the aliens, right, and where they appeared throughout history. And the others out there that were researching bloodlines of royalty, and they actually ended up meeting, right, and finding out that they're researching the same topic. And one of the things she pointed out that the Anunnaki, that their blood, their actual blood, is blue because it is more copper-based, where our blood is iron-based. So the blue bloods literally have more copper in them. Interesting, huh? But I bring it up because they were really talking about how this has gone on for according to if you go to the King's list, the Sumerian King's list, it's 260,000 years of kings, where kings ruled for tens of thousands of years, 36,000 years, one of them, and so on. So they had extremely long lifespans. Well, considering 1 year for them is our 3,600 years, quite different. And there is a lot of to show that this societies that have come and gone, they all are going through the same sort of cycle, the same sort of control systems in place, using money, using anarchy. Oh, there he is. Hello, Tank.
Hey, what's going on?
I thought you went on vacation again.
No, all of my devices. Sorry. Yeah, all of my devices died at the exact same time. My headset and both my phones died simultaneously. Their batteries drained out right in front of me. Never seen anything like it. So.
So at least you didn't get fried in your car.
Yes. You know what? Hey, there's always an upside to things. I did not get fried in my car. Absolutely.
Yeah. Something drained all that energy out.
Yes, that is definitely true. Something drained it out. So it's been pretty exciting, So we've been dropping bombs on the cabal. So I think that's part of it. That they don't. They're not the most receptive.
What are the latest bombs?
Not, I mean, it's just been a nonstop series of different events, I guess, of things going on, and
Okay.
I know Kim has been.
This. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So Kim's been dismantling them, obviously, and you're hearing Trump talk about. I was watching some of these different things, and Trump is talking more and more about our sovereignty, going over to London, talking about our sovereignty. I think that does have an impact. But you know what I thought was the best thing I saw today? Actually, I'm sorry, Dan. What were you guys even talking about? I apologize. I jumped in on your show.
No, it's okay. No. This is our show. Remember, this is Dank Live's other show.
Exactly, our show. But I came in late. I feel like a jerk. Sorry.
Well, I was just talking about the bloodlines. The alien researchers were researching, the history of aliens, right? And the people that were following the bloodline of the royalties, they actually came together. And Linda Moulton Howe was pointing out that literally the blue bloods had literally blue blood because they were copper based, whereas the red blood is iron based. And so
that
Anunnaki.
is so interesting. We actually had a nurse from a military base who confirmed that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so it would be nice to see some blood. See it side by side. What does it look like? Is this what is? Is this why we have Rothschilds with is their blood actually blue? Yeah.
I think they're mixed, right? Because they're not actually,
sure,
true blue blood, right? So there's some kind of, mix
so
of
they're
that.
purple blooded.
I guess so. I'm sure that they bleed similarly to the way we do, but but that makes sense, right? Their blood would, like I was actually, Kim told me that the air quality, right? Like the reason why we have 30% less oxygen than what we should have, it's because they do that intentionally, because I guess they do better with that combination of elements in the air, which I guess is like the reptilian, bloodline kind of thing.
Right.
So, but that's fascinating. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, did you see Jon Stewart today in front of Congress?
I saw half of his speech. Yeah, he was very impassioned with what he had to say, and he's quite correct. I hate to say that, I hate, but I say I don't find myself often on his side of things when he has an opinion about something, but he was dead on.
So I got to tell you, now. This is the truth. I don't talk about this stuff much, but I have had, like I'm always experiencing these new kind of energetic realities, right? So in my meditations, I've, been before certain like things, right, which I don't fully understand. So I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody. I'm just saying, just my personal, internal experiences, right? I've been before different kind of courts and things like this, right? And I swear to you, what he had to say today, I felt like I could say the exact. I felt like I was saying the exact same things for all of humanity, because the argument he made today was so spot on. He came in completely supported by a group of first responders who were sick, and they traveled there to get off their deathbeds, literally traveled all the way to Washington, D.C. from New York, right, which is about 5 hours. And maybe they took a plane. Either way, it's still going to be a 5 hour trip after you get everything done with the way they're going to travel. And he comes there, he packs the house. And they in Congress, the fraudulent, useless scum that they are, they didn't even have the decency to show up in force. And he called them out. And I thought it was great. That part was excellent because one of the biggest problems is their indifference, right? There's just not enough of a sense of urgency about what has happened and what they have willingly or passively. It really doesn't matter. They've either allowed it to happen or they've willingly participated in it happening. So then he went on to say that these are the same people that all of you would take advantage of to tweet about and go on your social media to talk about how hey, never forget, and our heroes, the first responders. But then when you have the opportunity to help them, you don't even show up. Now, does that feel familiar right now? Because that is exactly what they're doing to all of us, right? These people were poisoned at the behest after the smoking gun that they tried to take out the towers back in '96, right, with Oliver North and the Clintons then. And what they decided, right, and this is documented, that they decided that what the United States needs is another Pearl Harbor style event. So they came up with the plan of September 11th, right? Because then they could profit in all these different ways, maintain the military, war complex that they're pushing, right, and still profit, right? And then there'd be an outcry. They could create fear and terrorism, right? Because it's a war system, and a war system only works when you have an enemy to hate, right, and to fear. So they had to, and now they've done this to bring this enemy here, right? So when he was going through all these things, this is the one thing that it just rang in my heart when he said it. He said, "This is not happening fast enough." And I was like, that's exactly how I feel, because we are in this place where, and what he also said this, he said these agreements are already in place. We're not trying to make a new law. These laws already exist. That's exactly the situation we're in. There was an agreement. It expired in 2012. There was a 5-year extension to return the assets. Even that has expired. This is not happening fast enough. And the reason why is because they don't care about us. They're hoping they're expecting us just to die off. So we are going to teach them a lesson by not doing that. We're not going to die off. We're going to live. And we're going to be incredibly healthy and balanced and happy. And we're getting through this. But when he was talking, I'm telling you, man, I just thought that was very powerful what he had to say. And I agree with everything he had to say in reference to the first responders, but I also think it very much applies to us and all the rest of us as well. We are in a state as humanity, right? And we are really, I have felt this exact vibe. It's as if we're on on trial. And in parts of this, I can actually confirm that these things have happened. But it's like we're on trial making a case for humanity. And we've really proven our case. We've shown that we are the appropriate, rightful guardians of the planet. We are worthy and able to take that responsibility and go and be creators, right? And return order to the planet in a way that will be conducive and in harmony with the greatest good for the planet and other people, and even the various other races that live here and the animals, everything. We have demonstrated that. Now the problem is, because there's still these massive mind control techniques in force. Like, I woke up today, I have never seen chemtrails. I felt like they chemtrailed me today, right? I looked up in the sky and there was 100 different straight lines. There was obviously not clouds, right? Zigzagging, crossing. I was like, wow, I've never seen it. I've seen pictures of it, but never above my own house, right?
Really?
Never like that.
Interesting.
Never. Yeah, really,
Okay.
really
Yeah.
heavy.
Just, you know, I've heard that there's a lot less chemtrails going on. I don't know if that's true, but the people I spoke with in Los Angeles, I used to really just point them out to people all the time for a long time. People say, "What are you talking about?" I said, look at that. I had a friend who had one of these huge lenses. You know, it was like, you know, I don't know, 10 inches wide lens. He's a professional photographer, and he took some very, you know, photos of it. Right, they just don't look natural. Right, they don't act. They're milky. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, there was lines upon lines where I could actually see very clear patterns, which I've never. I mean, I've seen chemtrails, right? But I mean, it's been a lot of blue skies here, you know, for a long time. It's like hardly any chemtrails, right? You hardly ever see them. I've never seen the entire sky where I was like, wow, this whole sky right here is fraudulent, and it just stayed there for the whole day, right? And it kind of faded into each other, but it was like so sharp when I woke up. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, how is this still happening? How is it that I can't get through customs if my shampoo bottle is too big, but they can literally load up a plane with several planes with toxic chemicals and coat, tri-state area with it, right?
Yeah.
So that was one thing, and then so I just thought about that. These things are not changing fast enough because these things are illegal right now. And the only chance they have is to keep us ignorant and docile. And if we stay docile, nothing will change. And that
Right.
is what they've been pushing, right? That we're not ready, that we can't handle it so that they can take,
Well,
the reign
you
for
know,
another 26,000 years.
that's why they're revving up on the censorship. You know, YouTube put in these new rules, right? And that's why, you know, this channel got completely demonetized. I mean, like 90%. It's just in one fell swoop, everything went like. Yeah, that's quite unusual. And things that were fine, you know, one day ago, now they're all suddenly changed, right? And
And I mean, if for them to do that, I mean, you have so many videos on there. Like they had to go so deep. Like, I mean, they've gone back, 100 days.
well,
Right.
I think it's not like they even looked at them, right? It was literally
Right.
that they targeted the channel and they dialed it back to 90% demonetized. You know, just on the way to 100%. That's all. It's just like it'll be one video that's going to pop up here and there that's going to be, oh wow, it's allowed to be monetized. You know, I'm actually surprised. Anyway, that considering everything we've been discussing, anyway, that it's I've been able to get things monetized anyway to this, but it's not a huge amount anyway, right? I think it was like $380 last month. Looks like it's going down. Do more videos, and the revenue goes down. So it's probably will only be about $300 this coming month. So it's not really worth it, right? Considering just trying to not say certain things, and it's like, so their system is stupid.
Well,
and we're still going to get out the information.
So we can basically say now that they are actively supporting pedophiles by doing this, right? Like they're under the behest of these elite pedophiles, because that is at the end of the day, that's the kind of stuff that really is evident, right? That they're supporting, because
it's like certain words. Yeah, you say false flag, right? That's going to trip it and say, you say false flag, pedophilia, and they're gonna stop it. There's many other words, but the thing is, there's no list. There's no list of words, so you don't even know what words you're not allowed to say.
Right. Well, and basically it comes down to, it's not just words. It's, you're not allowed to have an alternate opinion, right?
Sure.
And that's really what it comes down to. It's like, no, your opinion doesn't align with this, the new, deep state, agenda, which they have now labeled the liberal, agenda, right? Like we're liberal, and liberal really just means to be open-minded. And I would say anybody listening to this show is certainly, believe it or not, and I know this will insult people, but you're liberal. I mean, you're liberal-minded, right? Because these words actually have definitions. They're not just catchphrases to cause division, right? And but it's really amazing. So this this gentleman from Prepare for Change, right? But there's like some division with Prepare for Change, and I think like this is like the original members. They kind of went back to what they started with, and he's very considerate. He updates, he includes us in his newsletters every month, and just tells people what we're doing and stuff like that. And he's been updating them on the DANK show, and Speak Pro Radio and stuff. And he but so I reached out to him. Right now, he's got just an incredible history. His brother was like a whistleblower, right? And like, so he got involved with a lot of stuff, like all the way back in the 70s. And back before it was common to hear about whistleblowers, he was a whistleblower to the governments, right? And but he's the one who shared with me how in 1947, how they all decided to basically implement all of these. It's a global agenda for population control, and it's a real charter, that was set up. The United Nations was established in 1945, and they immediately went to population control, right? Is what they call it. Now, I hate everything about that phrase, population control, because first of all, as soon as you say that, no matter how you do it, I don't like it. Whether you mean you want to control what we think, what we do, what we eat, how we reproduce, all of those things, that you do not have the right to control the population, right? But they decided as a global collective, right? And this wasn't accepted or embraced by every country in the world, the governments, but by these shadow societies that exist in all these governments, right? And they just decided, well, this is what we're gonna do, control the population, right? So they had there's all these very specific data markers, right? That they shared. Very, very specific. Like what would happen by this date. This is back in 1947. So now you're looking at 7 decades, right? So you've had like 2 generations, or however many generations that have, grown up, had kids, right? Where now it's just accepted that the conversation about population control or depopulation is what it really is. It's just a normal thing. There's TED Talks about it, right? And but what I'd never seen before, this is all the way back in 1947. They talked about how they collaborated with the Catholic Church, because the religion, right? Because that was the church, right? Like the Catholics had such a control back then. And what happened was the Catholic Church was basically like, they had already married themselves to the idea, the absoluteness of, we don't believe in contraception, right? Or abortion. So what happened was, it was the Pope, John Paul, not the one who died in 63, but the one after that, who was the Pope in 67. He came out and said that we don't believe in contraception, but we do believe in saving lives. And if someone's life was saved, and in the process they were made sterile, right, or unable to have children, that would be okay. And that is how the implementation of vaccines and there's 13 different ingredients that cause sterility, right? That they listed way back then, right? 13 different ingredients that they put in vaccines since 1967 to cause sterility, to depopulate the planet. And they specifically targeted places like India, Japan, China, and Africa, right? And in addition, they justified the spreading of diseases, right, to reduce the population, to keep it under control, right? All these things based on the myth that we were overpopulated in the first place.
Right.
And as I was reading through it, I was just like, my gosh, this has been going on my whole life, your whole life. This level of it, and it was just really, it really turned my stomach to think about it. Like we don't even know, and then on top of that, they've completely manipulated our history, right? So because they've completely manipulated our history, they've run a war system where you would have massive violence. So they wanted to tone down the violence. So to tone down the violence, what they did what they did is they drugged us with fluoride so you would basically destroy the alpha male, right? Because that's where your violence comes from, is men standing up to protect their families. We don't want that, right? They actually identified breaking up families as a means to prevent overpopulation, right? Because if we're overpopulating, you can basically justify doing whatever you want to people. Now,
Yeah,
this,
if you have an intact family, a strong family, you might end up with 6, 10 kids
yeah,
over a lifespan, right? But if you break them up and then they have one kid or two kids, and then there's a dysfunctional family after that, and usually the people don't really get married again after that.
yeah,
Some do end up with the same scenario. But yeah, when you mentioned the ones that they were targeting initially, Africa, India, China, uh, it wasn't Europe or America, right?
not
But
initially.
now
No,
it is. But now it
now it
is.
is.
Now it is.
And
Because in the
they've,
beginning, those were the people in control was Europe and America. So they didn't want to say, oh well, as long as it's not us, right? But they come back to get us later, right? Like the Western cultures is then attacked later, just in the same way as, well, we're only going to kill 90%. And also the other numbers too. Well, we're going to kill off half. We're going to kill off 60%. We're going to kill off 70%. We're going to kill off 90%. But the 10% that'll be saved. Well, no, they'll come back in the end and get the last 10%.
right. So the name of this plan is actually demographic something, but it was really amazing when I read it because you realize that everything that they plotted back then, right, is what they've put in place now, right? So now the reason why you have forced migration. By the way, I'm taking this article, and this article is actually written in a very respectable journal called the. I've been trying to say this word all day. The Epitomology Open Access, right? It's a subversion of medicine and public health by international security prerogatives, right? But in this, it's something. The name of the program is like demographic restructuring. So that your demographics, right? Your basic, your country lines, your all those different things. So that's why they're moving and they're forcing migration to completely change the demographics so that you can rewrite the history and make it whatever you want it to be, right? And then you have a whole new generation that just gets raised where they just think this is the way that it is,
Right.
and then in that they can move into a even great. I mean, if you can even imagine a greater control structure than what they have now, and they could justify. And you got to think the original agenda, right, was what they wanted to reach a peak population and maintain it. Right, there's three phases: reach a peak population of 9 to 10 million, a billion, then maintain it, right? Um, and that was they wanted to reach that goal by 2050, right? And they did it through the guise of helping the impoverished. So that's why in 2015 at the United Nations they got up and said, and they were really announcing they were ahead of schedule, and they said we will abolish poverty by 2030. And I was so excited. I thought, what a great statement. But what they meant was we will kill off the impoverished by
Yeah.
2030. So we're 20 years ahead of schedule. So it was a big announcement. Great job.
It sounds like something similar to the Nazi plan, right? The ultimate, what was it? The ultimate solution?
The ultimate solution. That's exactly
Yeah.
the ultimate solution. Eugenics, and eugenics is actually listed as part of this because it was the Nazi scientists who came up with this stuff, and they
Sure.
brought them over here to the United States. So that's where all this comes from, right? And you see where FDR, collaborated with Stalin to, hey, here's my vision of the future. We're going to make things more organized, have less war, and it ties right into the Iron Mountain agenda. But in the Iron Mountain agenda, when you see the outline, absolutely no ethical or preconceived notion of values is applied at all. So all of the differences in what we consider valuable is completely thrown out the window. And oh my gosh. And then it ties in. You can see how that same plan keeps playing out because it's the Clintons who created the Child Protective Services back in like 1997, right? And this is why Hillary Clinton is always touting herself as being the one to help the children, right? So when you look at the actual laws, they're the ones that create, the Clintons are the ones who created incentives, $6,000, no, it's $4,000 per child taken from a home. And then it's like $6,000 if they're adopted, right? And so imagine now nowadays, I think that translates with inflation is like it's like $8,500, right? So imagine for every kid that you take and then traffic, right? Because they're not just randomly being adopted by just families looking to have new kids. They're trafficking the kids, right? So they're incentivizing the same people who go out and take the kids from homes. And some of the reasons they have taken children from homes are the house was messy, the parents spanked the child, the this father grabbed his 16-year-old daughter's arm as she was about to prevent her from getting on a motorcycle, and they took her, right? But I mean, there was dozens of things like that, just silly nonsense reasons they would take the kids.
Well, if you could pick any reason at all right? I said, well, if she doesn't like chocolate ice cream, she likes vanilla, so take her away from the home. You could pick any reason then. Right? Oh, that's abuse. She doesn't like it. So you can take them away. So if you have a financial incentive, you'll come up with any reason.
Yep. And that's what they said, because that's what people do who are working for a commission, right? Because even the social workers get a bonus on this, right? And so they're saying, when people are incentivized, they're going to push that agenda because they're making money off it, right? And they've made money the most important aspect of our culture, basically, right? So I just been really examining, considering, how these things all connect, and how they all pull together, basically, and how they're all part of the same agenda, and it's to depopulate the planet so they can have their utopia, right? And that's the real reason. It's not because, a noble, peaceful effort, right? It's a peaceful transition of power. We hear that all the time when the presidents change, right? But the peaceful transition of power has really always been about different sides of the cabal. Going from the black dragons in the west to the Chinese dragons in the east, and that's why we have things the way we do. And it's and they actually talked about how in Japan, it's like a third of the population is over 65, right? Which is really, really high numbers because they did this, because they implemented it there immediately. The United Nations and the World Bank and the World Health Organization, they all gave mass billions of dollars to China for practicing female infanticide. And they did and they applauded them for doing such a good job in controlling their population.
And now China has a very big problem, is that they don't have enough females. And so they're not going to be able to actually maintain their economy as from their lack of population. They don't have enough people to maintain their standard of living. They actually will then roll backwards. Mess with Mother Nature, and come back and whack you. So,
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
Hey, Tui.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Tank. How are you guys? Hope you guys are doing well.
We're good. So how's everything in Fiji?
Going very well, thank you. So good. So good to you guys. Hear you guys talk about some things that we are facing in reality. The reality that the lessons that we've been learning. And I'm very happy to join you guys today. Things have been accelerating really fast here in where we are here in Fiji, and I have some good news today.
Oh, good.
We finally have our preparation done. So that means now we are able to talk with the PM, sit down with them, and get them to understand what is truly happening. Because now that we met with the
Prime
military.
Minister? Is that who you met? The Prime Minister?
Yes, the people, the military guys that works under the prime minister.
Okay.
That's like because right now the Fiji government is actually almost run by the military. Everyone, all the ministers and all the permanent secretaries for all the public, the ministries are all part of the military since the military took over a few years ago. So now they've reached a place where they finally realize that there's no more money, and now that we've reached out to them, we've reached out to the intelligence, the military intelligence, and they want they now they can give us grant. They grant us the permission to reach our central bank to be able to access the what do you call this, the terminal if the time comes, or anytime that we can talk about. I mean, we'll be able to talk about it with Tank. He would actually be able to grow it up to Kim or in the future. But yeah, as soon as it's just tell you that we are ready. Because right now there's we sat today with the military intelligence, and they can see they've calculated the future, and then they see that we just came out like last time I said that the budget, they made up the budget and they cut the budget down, and even now the 3 point something billion that the government is expecting to run or is expecting to use to run this year, 2019 and 2020, there is no money, and so the budget is just a piece of paper, plan, but there's no physical money to back it up, and so the military.
Like a bad plan.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, they're trying to look for it now. They're trying to go and find wherever the money is to come from, but they can't. There's no money coming in. They've gone to the Asian Development Bank. They've gone to the United Nations. They've gone to the World Bank. They've gone to the IMF, but there's none. And so right now, in a state of peril. So they've already draw up a plan to manage the crisis that will be happening in the few months. Because by the time the new year starts, the new business year for the government, they won't be able to do anything because there's no money to pay the people to do. So we won't be able to avoid a crash if we don't intervene, or if the trust don't do anything about what we're going. And there'll be a lot of problems, chaos, and they've outlined it to me today. And I said, yeah, that's why we are here, to come and to teach us how to learn how to love, and teach everyone to value human life. And that's the reason why the trust cut off the money in the first place, so that it will give the chance to every single human being on the planet to realize that they are sovereign, and that money should not be sovereign in their life, and they can choose to learn the hard way. We did a lot of they've done a lot of research, a lot of learning about the trust on the internet and through social media, through the YouTube, and they've noticed the videos that you've been posting on YouTube, and they've listened to it. And it's just I told them, yeah, it's just for those people that are chosen, because they will be able to understand what we're talking about. But this message is for everyone. The sovereignty has to be returned to everyone on the planet, and the trust. That's what the trust is to actually just to return the sovereignty and what it means to be sovereign, and so that people will be able to express that sovereignty, that energy within them, fifth element. And we're just a platform to be able to do that. and to be able to be the physical representation, and not just that. Thank you. Be able to remember the interview that we said. I talked about the name of my tribe, the Rasau, and I couldn't continue on in that path because there's a lot of healing that has to be done in the spiritual level towards that word Rasau. But the Rasau simply means sovereignty. It simply means everyone is sons and daughters of the living God, and that's why I'm here embodying that message, and that's why you'll hear me talk about it in a very in a very, very detailed way. That I talk about sovereignty because it's the name of my tribe, it's the name of the title of my, and so the message is actually, in a sense, like I said, it cannot be spoken. It's me, and it simply represent. That's what Kim represent. We represent the sovereignty of all the human beings on the planet, and it's time for them to remember that sovereignty, and it's time for them to be able to express it in the fullest way. And all these powers, these energies that were sovereign in the past, they will all just melt away once everyone fully realizes that their energy has been used. They are the source of all this slavery because they give it power. Once they become independent, once they become powerful, we'll be the one freeing ourselves because we are the one that put ourselves in there. And so they will just lose their power. And that's the reason why they kill Yeshua or Jesus in 2,000 years ago, because he was trying to tell everyone to look within and to see that God is within you, that God is the source of everything, is the source of your breath, is the source of your life, is the source of your life that you are living. And as soon as the leaders in those days understand the foundation of what he's teaching, they kill him because they don't want, because once people do that, all these illusions of governments and all these illusions of religions, they will just break and just wither away. We've talked about the big statue that Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible dreamt about. These are all the illusions that the humanity has been alluded to, and we've reached right down the ankle, right down the feet, where there's no unity, all division in the mind of everyone, whatever, different beliefs, different political system, different religious agreements, different all the different faiths that we have on the planet, all the different, all these cannot be united. But once we fully awake and we fully understand that we are the source of this separation, we are the source of all these religious. Once we truly understand all these differences will just be valued as gifts and no longer differentiate us and separate us. We will realize that we are all sons and daughters of the living God. So the message is actually embodied not just in spoken words, but in physical form, which is what we represent, Kim and I, and the people and everyone on the planet. Once everyone understands and get to the awareness of it, they will fulfill what it means to be sovereign, what it means to be sons and daughters and have dominion on the planet. And that's the role that the chiefs here in Fiji will be doing. We will be reminding everyone of that source, the fifth element within everyone. And we've, a few days ago, I was saying that we were preparing, and now we've reached the part that the people that we've been talking to, the military, they are all fully awake now. They fully understand. There's no more separation, and now they've allowed, they've managed to do it, to be able to understand, and then realize that even though in a sense they are forced to do that because they don't have any other choice, it's these or they will fall because they're truly what has been the statue in their life is money, which is gold and silver, is now breaking away, and they have no other choice to do. They don't have any choice. They are all preparing to manage the crisis, the revolution that's going to happen. And I remember Dan, you were talking about how the banks in England and Europe, they're planning not to give any more money to the Fiji government because they want a revolution. And it's going to happen. The revolution is happening, but it's not going to happen in a physical way where we start going back in the way we fight for resources and we do that. Now we'll just learn to stand up and be sovereign, and to be able to be given a chance to learn that in a way that that is not just beneficial to everyone, but it's also to be able to stand up for everyone can be able to stand up for their own sovereignty with the money that will be provided, with the awareness that will be provided, with the money that will be provided. It will become an environment where they can express the essence of creation that's within them. And so that's the plan that the military is so happy to hear today, because they don't have any other. Because they know that there's no money from the banks, there's no money anywhere, and they were waiting for people to lose their jobs and then start breaking and destroying everything else to get money, to get food for their families. And then they will try and they will see that after that comes sabotage, after that comes revolution. And this is the way that the old way. This new change, we have to be matured enough to realize that we are the one that creates this reality. And if we want to change it, we have to change it together. Not only one person, but everyone has their role in this change. And so, we won't be able to do it without the trust, without Kim. And she won't be able to do it without us, without everyone else. And that's what the Bible usually says, that you can have all these things, you can have the whole world, but if there's no love, then these things they're just meaningless. You can speak every language in the world, you can speak the language of the angels, but if there's no love, the Bible compares you to a ringing bell which has no meaning, because there's no love.
So when are the military leaders now going to say, okay, let's bring the money in from the trust?
We've sat down today with the leaders. They've already informed the Prime Minister, and because all of them knows there's no money. There's no. I was like a few weeks ago I was telling you that there's no exercises because there's no funds for it. The military are just going on to the camp, and then they're just sitting around. After 2-3 hours, they're going back home, because there's no what they used to have before is no longer there, and it's gonna get worse. And so today we sat down, and they've fully agreed, and they've understood what is happening, and they've researched on it, and we've talked how many. That's why I was not coming up. I was not on the show. I was trying to prepare everyone, the awareness, the way they think, the understanding. Because this is what is lack. They're just like us. We have families, they have families. And today was a day that they decided that next week, maybe on Monday, we try to stay. But I asked them to wait until I want to come on the show and let Tank know about it. That we are ready for we'll go and open up a Swift 2 terminal, and we will be working with our with our governor for the central bank, or whatever terminal, whatever bank that I would be able to do it on. The central bank, I've said, the Reserve Bank will be able to go there and do that there. But I will have to ask Tang, and I'll be able to talk, and so that we'll be able to come up with a time if we can. But if there's another time that Kim, if she's not ready, we'll wait for her until she'll be able to, she'll be able to allow us to to have that transfer. But until then, we'll be continuing on with our preparation. But the only thing that I'm happy about is that everyone is on board on it. Maybe because of they've seen the future. If there is no other choice for them, because there's they can't print any money. They need allocation from the. They've been advised by the banks. They've been advised by the by the business people, and the government. They've realized they've been cornered into a corner. There's no other choice or option but to take a crisis and experience the worst of it. And so once we come up and we tell them that this has been, it's a preparation that it always happens in the past. If you hear the stories in the Bible, when there's a drought or a very big problem that's going to affect the country, God always try and walk on a way to prepare, so that it might be very, might be not that worthy or very subtle, but he works miracles. And Joseph, he just becomes a prime minister in one day, from a prisoner to a prime minister, or to be able to to save the country, save himself and save his family. And that's the lesson that everyone will be learning on the planet right now. That God will, the lesson about self, or the self-awareness, the fifth element, it will be learned like this. Things that you value in your life will be taken away, and then you truly realize that we are the source of that energy. We are the one that create everything that we have. It's not, we're not slave to all this money and all this. So this lesson, the people here in Fiji will be learning in this next few days, next few years. We will be doing that awareness as part of the project, the return of the Manna, that we've already, presented to DANK, that we already presented, that we budgeted for. And it's really simple. It's just returning the awareness of the element that is within you. We call in our language the Manna project. The Chinese government already understands this, the foreign government. If you look at their flag, you'll see the 4 stars in the Chinese flag, and you have the 5th star, that is a big star. They know that one day the awareness of a 5th element within will wake up, and everyone on the planet will be united. And this will not, this is that becoming true. It's no longer be a prophecy. It's coming to its fulfillment right now. And if it begins here in Fiji, then so be it. Time begins here, and all this begins here. The first sunrise. We have that in Fiji. We have 2 newspapers in Fiji. One is called the Fiji Time, and one is called the Fiji Sun. And so it simply it's the first newspaper that is printed in the whole entire world. Fiji Sun and the Fiji Time. It simply means that here begins the first sunrise, and here begins the first time, the beginning of time, and the first in a day. And so it's been a prophecy that's been, it's been a long time that people have been waiting all over the world. The 5th. If you look at the flag, the Chinese flag, you have the 4 element and you have the 5th element. If you look at the Korean flag, the South Korean flag, you'll see the yin yang. That's the 5th element. That's the good and bad that is within people, and the 4 element that's around the yin yang, which is the water, the land, the fire, which is the sun, and the air, or the heaven. They call it the heaven. And so every culture on the planet, because no one is different. Everyone is made up of the same 4 elements, and the awareness within us is the 5th element. It's just that we've been so lost in all the different creation that we've created for thousands of years, and we've created the same. Like I was telling you then the day that you're talking about money, and I said that that's the reason why there was one whole entire system of money. You can't have 2 systems on the planet, because there's one sovereignty that used to lead the planet before, and that's why everything was collected to the trust. It's not because it was just done out of trying to control the people. There was a deeper meaning to what the trust is. It's simply to reunite. I call it the Tower of Babel. Tower of Babel, it comes from the word Bab-El, which is gate to the Elohim, or Bab-El. And Babel simply means when they tried to build that building, to reach God. It simply says that they were looking for God outside, and they don't realize that Babel is within, and that's the gateway to God. And so, all these past years we've been doing that. We've been creating system outside to try and find it, and then that's what we did with the monetary system. We try and create it and make that God. And now that the trust has cut it out, people will learn that God is not outside. It's not money. It's not all this. That God is within you. And so it's just time.
I was just say, hey, Tank, are you ready on Monday?
Am I ready on Monday to go live?
No,
Man,
to get to walk them through the terminal, the military there in Fiji.
It doesn't have to be Monday. It totally depends.
Literally, Tui, you could call me tonight. I'm ready. I'm ready tomorrow. I'm ready all day. I'm ready 4 Mondays ago if you need to go back in time, and 4 Mondays from now if you need to go ahead. I'm here.
Yeah, so it's really good to, that's why I said today is a really good day. You can start up these, and it's been blocked over there in the US, and we can get the fund out from here, and then we spread it all over the planet if we have to. And that's what we're going to do if we have to. Because if there's no other place where the fund, if it's blocked somewhere there, we will set it up from here. We'll send it all over the world, and we'll prove to everyone about what what Kim has been trying to prove, what the trust has been trying to prove, and how it's working together to actually free the whole of humanity. Help them free themselves, and we're not going to be saving anyone. Everyone will learn to save themselves. That's what the manna is. I don't want people to look at themselves and look down upon them and think, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. That's in the last thousands of years. This time it's different. This time everyone will be learning how they will be sovereign by themselves, by realizing the essence within them that is the most powerful thing in the universe. And we are just glad to be that to be able to help the trust in any way, and to be able to if this happens here in Fiji, believe me, our whole planet, I'll be talking to the leaders. I'll be talking about it to the leaders, to Russia, to Putin, to China. I'll be talking to them, literally talking to them, because they are looking for the solution. I was listening to Putin last night. They were discussing. The Chinese leaders had a visit to Russia, and they've been talking about problems that's happening on the planet. And they said, they're talking to themselves. We have all the monies in the world, but we create weaponry and we fight. And we still fight. What's the problem? What are we? Why are we fighting? They don't. And they've been talking, amongst each other, to the leaders and all this. They're trying to come up with a solution, we have all these different religions, we have all these different political systems, but we are just I was listening to Putin. I said, you wait there. One day the people, if we do what we do here in Fiji, it will be an experiment to the rest of the world, that a nation can actually do it, and to learn to free themselves, learn to be sovereign on their own. They don't need anyone from outside to be able to come and save them. Like humanitarian projects, we'll be able to do that on our own, and not just people here in Fiji, but everyone will be doing that together on the planet. And I'll be, the part of this project is the mobility funds that I'll be inviting a lot of people to Fiji, and both of you are also invited. Everyone that's listening in are also invited. We'll be paying for the fares and all that. And I'm just thankful that we are working together with the military and all the banks. I told them that we'll have to sit with the banks and all these people. We need to talk. We are just in a state of in a place. We are lucky because we are not inside we're not inside inside the US or any other country that is bounded so strongly to the law of the seas. In Fiji, we are so bounded strongly to the law of the land. The only 5% of the land it belongs to the government. 95% here in Fiji belongs to the native tribe because of all the law of the land that runs here. So after realizing that, because they're from the native tribes, I know they are the military are from the native tribe, because they're we call them the Mbati, or the military for the tribes. They just change their names and they become, in a corporation. They work for the government, but they all come from the villages and all that. And there's no other, there's no other tribe that is in the military. They are the military tribe of the native tribe. And so now they just remembering their true purpose. Before, 100, 200 years ago, they were just native tribes. They were the military for the native tribes, for the chiefs. And now that they've been organized in such a way that they get paid and money and all that. And so I'm thankful to what the trust, the old trustee has done to cut off all the money and all that. So it gave us this chance to be awake, to realize that when there is no money, we start searching our soul, search within us to try and find it. And so, yeah, I'm after the talk today with the military, they're so happy that because they've seen what can happen. They've seen not just it's just not happening here, and like it has happened in the past. Revolution has happened, and chaos and more and more problems, which is so hard to actually to resolve or to cure. So to be able to prevent it and to do this and to work out of love and out of understanding of I told them, once the funds will be coming, you will be talking with Kim, and she will tell you the same thing, that this thing has to be done out of the value of humanity, not valuing not the way that you used to use money before. If not, then I won't allow the money to be used. They have to understand the true purpose of this change that is happening on the planet. That it's not just physical, but it's a part of the spiritual aspect of the earth, and that is the fifth element. The change has to have, that's what sovereignty means. So I'm so happy that they are able to grasp it, because we've been talking so many times. So they were able to grasp the idea. They go and try and understand it, process it for a few days. They come back, we meet again, and then I made them grow them. Teach them a little bit more and talk with them a little bit more. They go, and then up till today, it's not we've been working, we've been waking up day and night trying to wake our brothers and our sisters here, and we're so happy that everyone is doing that, and we'll continue to do that until everyone here in Fiji and in the Pacific are done, and in the world awake, and they will realize that all these illusions, money, and all these are just gifts of the fifth element within. They're not the source of the source of life or anything like that, or God or anything. And so there's a lot of lesson that the people here in Fiji will be learning, especially the leaders, the government leaders. It's not we're not going to be pointing fingers. They will just they'll be given the chance to balance all the bad things they've done, and they will balance it in a good way. So by talking with them. So yeah, that's the news from in Fiji, and I'm so happy that yeah, that we've come to this time, and I know this will if not anywhere in the world, this will kick off what the trust and the purpose of the trust is, because everyone in Fiji will learn of it, and everyone in the world will learn about sovereignty and what it means, and what Kim and what the people of the world truly represent now in this moment, in this time, what it means. And I've told them the world has been in a sympathetic state for a very long time. We want to accelerate the rest state, where people will learn that God is always with them every single day, and they will learn to rest. There's no more fear of heaven and going to hell and all this, because these are all creation of your mind and your thoughts. Once you truly realize that the source of awareness is what God is, and there won't be any more separation. That that has been causing a lot of fear because of the programming and all the indoctrination that all the religious, that has been done for the past thousands of years. So yeah, we're in a point of time where the message is not, it's not only, like Jesus said, Jesus said, and the flesh, the word became flesh, and that's what we are right now. What we've been learning, what all these things that has been happening, it's becoming real, and it cannot be spoken anymore, because the message is me, is you, is everyone, to be sovereign, to be sons and daughters of the living God. So it cannot be spoken anymore. In the past, yes, they'll be talking about it, kingdom of heaven, son of man, all these Yahweh, Yodved, Hodved. That's what Jesus, Yeshua. That's what Yeshua means. Yodved, Hodved saves. Yahweh saves. Yodved, Hodved is the four element, which is you. And who saves you? You save yourself. That's what Yeshua means. It's no one outside of you coming to save you. It's the energy that is within you that will save you and save everyone by itself, because it is God. So I'm thankful that we've reached this time, and I'm talking to you guys about it. Thank you, DANK. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kim. I'm thankful to the team, to thank the team, the Create Change team. I'm thankful to Kim and the team and Thomas Williams and all them. We'll be learning this lesson together. That we'll be able to project it from this side. We'll be able to meet the person, and we'll be able to recognize each other, and we'll be able to fulfill and truly learn what it truly means to be to have love and to express love that is within. So yeah, I'm thankful to everyone that's on the show. Thankful to everyone on the live chat. Thank you everyone in Fiji that are listening. In the future, thank you so much, for being with us on this now. And I look forward, to this new creation that we will do. And I'll be looking forward to the change. And please, if this happens really fast, I'll be looking forward to seeing everyone that will be coming in. So once again, yeah, once again, thank you so much, DANK. Thank you so much, Dan. Much love and blessing from Fiji. Peace.
Peace.
Take it easy from Fiji.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Thank you, Tui, for being Tui.
Well, I think that wraps it up. That's great. What a great way to start the day.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I expect to be in Fiji next week.
We'll be doing the show from here.
Excellent.
Oh man!
I'll bring my pocket Wi-Fi just in case.
Just in case.
Get a backup. So, on Monday, are you going to be meeting with the Prime Minister? I wasn't quite sure. That's just the military.
Yeah, the military has all because of the current crisis. The government is on a state of in that state where they are prepared for the change. And so
okay, so you're meeting with the ones that are going to go there to the bank, to the terminal.
Yes, with the governor of our Reserve Bank, which is the governor of the central bank, and so that will give us the chance to have not just proof, but to be able to fully understand the process and all that, the process that maybe DANK will be able to run us through with it, and we'll be able to talk about it and fully understand what it says, what it means. And so to be able to access that, to do that, it's they've given us the assurance today that we will provide you with all this, because it's not just that they need the money. They can't do anything outside. They can't do anything outside of the trust. Trust owns the entire banking system. They can't print the money outside of allocation, outside of the allocation by the trust. And so they understand that And so I said, yes, that's all we've been trying to walk towards. I know this will come, and now that it is time, I will talk to the show. I told them to join the show and understand, learn. I mean, listen to the show tonight. I'll be talking about it and sharing, because this is this is a chance for the people here in Fiji to actually learn to free themselves first, and to be able to talk about it so they can hear it. It's a good. It's really good. We're transparent about it, and we're not hiding it, because they are the one that's learning this freedom. And they've allowed. I will be working. I'll be there, and I've asked if we can get some other. I want the military leader. I want the government PM to be there, and I want them to be able to see it. So I want them. It's a proof to prove to the world that this is not just um, what there's so many words that are going around about the trust and all this, and to be able to do that, to be able to prove to everyone, and to be able to change our country. And I want them to stop all these these Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 that they've been trying to talk about, because of the money that's coming from the United Nations and all this. They are wasting their time. The planet has changed. And so that will be the big message for them, because they're going around the planet trying to preach about climate change and all that. I said, if we change ourselves, the planet will change itself. The climate is not a problem. It's always changing. And it's not a threat. We are just pretending that it's a threat, just like any other situation that the United Nations works. They try to make you, the enemies with everything around you, and they tax you with it. And so, yeah, that's what I hope I'll be talking with Tank more about it through the weekend. Maybe tomorrow we'll have on the show again, and all the rest of the country in the world will be able to do it the same way. And I'll be there making sure that they understand fully what it means. Not just what it means to be sovereign, but to truly know the experience of what sovereignty really means. And the Monday or Tuesday or whenever Tank, like whatever, whenever Tank and Kim is ready for it, we'll be preparing ourselves to be able to let Kim, teach them and teach everyone and talk to everyone about what the trust stands for and what the trust is. And I want them to learn from that, and to learn from her, and to understand and to learn from the team. So yeah, we are at that point right now, and I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful news. So
Indeed.
That is wonderful news. I'm gonna text Kim right now about it, and I will call her very early in the morning, and I'll make sure that we know what to do next. Great work, Mr. Tuilomanoma.
Thank you. Much love and blessing to you guys and your families. I'm thankful for this show today. I'm looking forward to the next step. Thank you. Peace from Fiji.
Peace out from New York. All right.
Yeah, love and peace to the Philippines.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Bye.